All right. Happy, rainy, cold Tuesday afternoon, everybody. My name is Colin Weston. I am the community leader for Startup Vancouver, and welcome to What Keeps You Up at Night? Entrepreneurship during challenging times. See, Reza, I'm getting better. We've had 10 times. That's the first time I haven't stumbled over that. So points for me. There we go. Give myself some
Knock on wood.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, I'm going to share my screen here real quick with our audience so everybody can see what we have going on here today. And Reza, you let me know if I've got the right screen here because I have the bad habit of having 85 different things open at once.
You got it.
And tabs galore. So I'm going to go slideshow here and tell me if we've got our cat going here.
You've got it.
All right.
We're hanging in there.
We are. So we always start with this. How's everybody doing? How's everybody hanging in there on this rainy shelter-in-place day? I know we're actually able to expand our bubbles out a little bit more. Everybody's still hopefully keeping that 2-meter distance from each other, but things are going in the right direction. We just got to stay strong and keep hanging in there like our friendly cat does here, and we're all going to be fine. So moving on. Startup Vancouver. We are one of over 40 community chapters of Startup Canada, which is the voice for entrepreneurship supporting over 3 million entrepreneurs across Canada. Best place to find us and engage with us is through social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we now have our freshly minted YouTube channel where we post all of our shows. And this is show number 9, hard to believe that. Where you can go back and find all the episodes that we've done. And while you're there, please subscribe so we can create even more great content for all of you great attendees that we have. See, Reza, I've added this slide so I don't forget. We want this to be an interactive and engaging half hour here with our 2 guests. So after we've had a talk with them, a bit of a chat, please in the chat, put any questions you have, or if you want to come on, we can open up the mic and you can ask them directly. So once again, we want to make this interactive. So please, attendees, let us know what you're thinking and provide any questions for our fabulous guests here.
And we extend that to Facebook viewers as well.
Absolutely, because we are Facebook Live now. We do that, so we will be paying attention there. Just wanted to mention, because we're not busy enough already, that we have another event tonight. So we've rebooted our very popular Van Startup Stories speaker event, which we did almost, I think, 12 of them last year. And now we've brought that over to be a virtual event. So tonight we have our first one, which we've rebranded as CAN Startup Stories, because this is a national audience now that we have reach with. And tonight we are celebrating women entrepreneurs. We're going to have 5 diverse, amazing women tell their personal and entrepreneurial stories. And in fact, we have Anna Chan, who was one of our guests on our show last week. So I will put the link there to attend for free and register as we go here. And it starts at 4 p.m. this evening. All right, so today we have 2 amazing guests. We have Olivia Wong, who's partner at Prototype Thinking Labs. Reza's gonna have a conversation with Olivia and with Kellyanne Woods, who not only won a CANIE award, I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, and that's the newly rebranded Startup Canada Awards. So we're going to talk about that and all the amazing entrepreneurial things that she's doing that makes us all look like complete slackers. I don't know how you do it, Kellyanne, but we're going to find out. And also want to mention, we do have a charity partner that we're very proud to represent and work with, and that is jack.org, which is a Canadian nonprofit that empowers mental health advocacy for youth. So we had some people donate today, and as I always do, if you donate, you get the benefit or you have to tolerate me singing you a little shout out at the end of the show. So today, as I mentioned, we have Olivia Wong with Prototype Thinking Labs, all the great work that she's doing over there. And then with Kellyanne Woods, we're going to be talking about what she's doing with Gillespie's Fine Spirits, Boozewitch brands, and also State B Cannabis Beverage, along with other things she's doing. There we go. Going to stop sharing my screen here now, and I'm going to hand it over to my good friend and co-host, Reza V. Reza, take it away, buddy.
Thank you, Colin. My name is Reza V, and I'm the founder of OVU Inc. I am glad to have Olivia today with us. Olivia is part of Prototype Thinking Lab, and it's very exciting what she does. I met her at another Colin's event called Vancouver Mentor. What was it called?
Oh,
Mentor
you were so close. Van Mentor Meetup. Yes.
Van Mentor Meetup, and you're doing another one very soon. So
Yeah.
it's very, very exciting stuff. And I got to meet Olivia, and what Olivia does is helping clients or founders like myself cut the time they have from prototyping to getting into the market. And I want to know, how do you guys do it? Because I'm reading on your bio, this is something Google uses in their market fit research.
Yeah, thanks, Reza. Thanks, Colin, for having me, by the way. It's great to see you. I wish we
Absolutely.
were at D6, but this will do.
Soon enough.
So the methodology that I teach, it's called prototype thinking. It was developed at Google X, used on innovations like Google Glass and self-driving cars. What it really is, it's a technique that takes the best aspects from design thinking, lean startup, and Google sprints. Hey, we got another visitor, maybe another panelist for later. So when we combine those techniques, what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on how quickly we can get to the moment where we're showing a real customer our real prototype. The faster we can get to that moment, the faster that we're learning, and we're shortening the time it takes for us to launch an idea, get feedback, test, and tweak and iterate. So if you think about your own journey, and I'm not just speaking to you, Reza, but anyone who's listening, how long does it take you to learn something concrete from putting your idea in front of a person? I used to work in philanthropy in the nonprofit sector. To be honest, it could have taken me a year and a half. We would have to fundraise, build out the specs, build out a business proposal, raise the buy-in, get the team together, build out an MVP, and that could take 6 months. So if you spend a year or even a year and a half waiting to the moment to actually show someone your idea, your speed of learning is 1 year. What we try to do is we try to show people that you can actually learn a lot about your idea before spending money in development. You can build out something even faster and more inexpensive than an MVP in the first few hours or the first day of coming up with the actual idea. So at the point of conception, if you can get to prototyping and testing, you're going to save a lot of money and a lot of time and honestly a lot of heartache.
Yeah, I can speak from my own experience how challenging and critical that point is, from your idea to research to really refine and do your market fit research before launching. And that's the most important part of any startup, and that's how they either make it or not. And the moment you said Google Glass, it made me think Google Glass came out 2012, and Apple Glass is not out yet. So they're 10 years behind. They're probably still doing product market fit, and they can afford that research, but most of us cannot. And we need to be agile. And what you're doing is amazing. I'm super curious to know if you guys have any clients during COVID, because there are a lot of founders looking for opportunities during COVID. And I personally found it extremely hard to do research because everything is up in the air and you can't rely on the research and data you get. And I'm curious to know what your experience was.
Yes, that's the short answer. The long version is everything was face-to-face before. User testing, interviews, meeting your customers in person, all of that was face-to-face. And every single company still needs to get that data. So we've been working with over 400 small businesses and a number of corporates and also funded startups during this time, because you still have to test. And this should not be a reason why you don't test, because you can't get in front of people. So we've come up with different techniques to really help people get an immense amount of data in a short amount of time using existing technology, things that are so easy and readily available to you. For example, I just did a workshop with an organization called Draper University. They have entrepreneurs from all around the world. We had almost 40 or 50 different countries represented. And I taught about 140 people over the course of 2 hours. And I ran this exercise with them where you can type out a short excerpt of your idea and then use Google Docs and the inline features to give feedback. And so I had one person, I demoed it with the person. This is the technique that we use for remote user testing. And that particular person which is actually really funny. He has the same idea as your product idea, but he got over 200 data points in less than 2 minutes. We had 200 people, or actually 140, but commenting multiple times at the same time, asynchronistically. And he was able to walk away with all of the relevant information about, well, what are the top questions that people have about this idea? Where does it live into their reality? If we were supposed to sell this idea, how much would they want to pay for it? Who are the best partners to go after? Where could we have the most leverage if it's a dual-sided marketplace? Like all of these great questions. And he was able to get that in 2 minutes just because we used a simple technique using Google Docs.
Nice. And I'm assuming these are live data. It's not
Yeah.
it's not scraping from past data.
We're actually asking real people.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's amazing. And when you brought it up, I was like, I have to get Olivia's help before my competitor who surpasses me. Olivia, what's the takeaway you had from the past 2-3 months? Is there anything you're changing in your workflow or in what you're doing going forward?
Yes, and I think this is so relevant for other companies and brands right now. I have learned how to be a better listener and more sensitive to the market because we are seeing some very drastic, intense events in modern history, the pandemic, the social unrest, the protests, the riots in America. And it's really important right now from a place of service that we listen intently to what people want, because there's too many opportunities right now to come across as tone deaf, and we have to be really sensitive to how we're speaking to our audience, but also promoting our values. One of the things that has been keeping me up at night recently is my role as a business owner in the global theme of promoting Black and Brown voices. Like, where do we live there? What's our role? What did we do historically? Why didn't we do more historically? Why are we trying to do more now? And is that really the right avenue for us to take if we are trying to improve the diversity, the equity, and the inclusion in our company, and also with the organizations that we serve? Like, that has been a huge topic for me. I come from a place of humility because I don't know the answers and I've done the wrong things previously. For example, I'm a speaker. I've spoken on many global stages, many conferences, events, and I've never asked the organizers to make a more diverse board, and that's on me. So I'm really learning right now. I'm trying to soak up as much as I can because I see that as a business owner, we do have a responsibility to just not serve our constituents or our users, but really the wider society as a whole, because hopefully our products and services will touch more than just those people.
Thank you for sharing that. And 2020 got a lot of stuff that keeps us up at night. There's a lot to think about, there's a lot to improve, and especially in the tech scene, because in the future the tech startups are going to shape our future, and we need it to be diverse. So thank you for sharing that. We have a question from our audience. Irma is asking, any book you're recommending for design thinking?
No, I do not recommend a book for design thinking. I recommend you to take a training or a workshop, because design thinking is like riding a bicycle. It's an embodied skill. You can read about it, but it really won't help you. So there are plenty of resources through IDEO and Acumen. But actually, I would recommend that you take a workshop or a training. We have trainings. And then, yeah.
I like that because it's a muscle memory of quickly identifying the problem, the solution, and how you connect them. And the more you do it, the more I still need to learn. But I'm figuring the more I do it, the more I get better at it. And the more you read about it, you're distancing yourself from actually training that muscle memory. Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that, Olivia, with us. I'm going to pass it to my lovely co-host, Colin.
They're lovely. I haven't been called lovely in a while. It must be the COVID hair. It must be the COVID hair that makes me so lovely. This is just out of control. I don't know. I can't even look at myself right now. Pre-COVID, my hair was shorter than Reza's, I think. And now look at me. It's just, pretty soon I'm going to be longer than Olivia. Just you wait. This keeps going on here. But before we move over and have a conversation with Kelly, because Kelly and Olivia pre-show were having this amazing conversation that I joked and said, you guys should run the show today. And I was kind of serious about that. Kelly, did you have any follow-up questions quickly here for Olivia?
Well, we were touching on a lot of really interesting things, and I think one of the most interesting things we were touching on is I'd like to hear a little bit more, Olivia, about your thought around sort of like performative performative affirmations, or like performative wokeness is what I called it. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that. How perhaps people can kind of shift to a more sincere approach.
Thank you so much for that question, Kellyanne. So the topic is performative allyship. We all want to do good right now. We see what's happening in the world. We see the racial injustice and the police brutality in the States. And every single person is thinking, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to be better? How do I stand on the right side of justice? I think intentions are great, but the way that people are behaving right now, it also kind of needs to be checked. So when we talk about performative allyship, what we're actually speaking about is when you're trying to do something good, and you're trying to elevate the voices of Black and brown people or melanated voices, sometimes there can be blowback. Sometimes there can be unintended consequences. You can actually do more harm. I just want to call one anecdotal story to the surface because there's an excellent book. It's called Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad. And I just saw on her Instagram the other day, she was talking about how a lot of white women have been promoting the work of her book, which is excellent. That's what we want. But what they've been doing is they've been taking screenshots, reprinting the book illegally, cutting out excerpts, and then reposting it on Instagram and passing it as their own work. And so that's a huge issue because she spent her entire life developing this curriculum to really help people. And so I think a good question to ask is just, when I am trying to be woke or anti-racist or socially just or socially impactful, what's that motivation? Is it to make myself look good? Is it so that people don't criticize me? Is it so that I can be elevated, in my community or sphere? And if so, how might that actually hurt someone? For example, I'm part of a lot of startup communities, one of which is led by the leadership is primarily white. It's no lie. And what happened is, this is a community of maybe 4,000 to 5,000 people from all around the world who are of all different colors and ethnicities and races. And the organization said, hey, we would love to have a conversation on what's happening around racism and police brutality and how we can help. So we would just love for you guys to drop your links if you know of anyone who can teach on diversity, equity, or inclusion, and we'll pick someone and we'll make sure that this call happens. My first comment was like, hey, that's awesome. Is this paid? If so, let me know so I can actually market it to the right people. So that's a huge conversation, is the work being paid? Because if it's not, then it's really asking Black and brown people to take on that emotional labor without being credited, right? Fairly compensated. So I've been on my soapbox for long enough. I'm going to turn this back to Colin, but it's honestly a really important topic right now for anyone who runs a business or who's in the startup world. How do we do better?
Big time.
It really is. And while I'm having a conversation with Kellyanne, Olivia, perhaps you can find that link to that book and put it in chat, and then Reza and I will also amplify that signal and put it on our social media channels afterwards. Okay, does that sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Well, thank you, Reza, and thank you, Olivia.
Thanks, Olivia.
Today, I just had the pleasure of meeting virtually Kellyanne the other day when we were on the Startup Canada Awards, which is now the CANIE Awards, and it was the BC Canada Regional Awards. So we have one of 5 Startup Canada and Innovation and Entrepreneurship Awards. And I had the pleasure there of seeing and meeting Kellyanne Woods, who won the Women Entrepreneur of the Year for BC, and will go on to the national awards, which I believe is taking place most likely virtually, not in person, in October.
Yeah.
So Kellyanne Woods, wow, seriously, you make us all look like slackers here. You've done so much. We only have a few minutes to dig into it, but you are the CEO and founder of State B Cannabis Beverage Company. You're also an actress. You are, I understand, a Kundalini yoga instructor, but you're also the founder and owner of Gillespie's Fine Spirits and Boozewitch Beverage Company. That is a mouthful. There's a lot there, but I do want to start off to congratulate you on that award, Kellyanne, and ask you, what is keeping you up at night the last 12 weeks or so? You've got so much going on, but you're probably juggling a lot of balls. So let's start with narrow it all down and what's exciting you and what's stressing you out these days.
Oh, geez. I mean, those are huge questions. I'm really, okay. So I'm really finding that there's like the macro and the micro of what's happening right now. And being a Kundalini yoga teacher and having a pretty powerful spiritual practice is that, like, from a spiritual perspective, we're going through a massive shift. We're going, like, as a on the planet and as a species, we are going through massive change. And not only is that happening outside of us, you know, with all of the things going on the planet, but it's also, I don't know about you, but every single person I talk to is being confronted with all kinds of personal transformation and change. So, you know, I'm going through it. Colin, I bet you're going through it. Reza, yeah, like I don't think, like, I think anyone that's listening right now is like, holy, me too. And I think that I think that has to become a bigger part of the conversation, because you can't look outside and not start to look inside and go, it's all happening. So, you know, is it keeping me up at night? Well, I'm just trying to sleep better so I can process my infrared sauna and tea. And, like, I think that, like, having a better self-care practice, like not just like bubble baths and painting my nails, but genuinely better self-care right now, not only from a health perspective, but just because everything's changing, keeping yourself in a really healthy way is really, really important, so you can serve other people and serve yourself at the same time.
Yeah, and looking at what you've done, I guess you've been a Kundalini yoga teacher for a few years now. So that sense of balance or harmony within your life, I assumed already kind of baked into your DNA now, that hopefully you're not suffering like so many entrepreneurs do. And I felt it at certain times too, between anxiety, depression, and burnout, the fact you're finding that balance, and that's even amplified more over the last 12 or 13 weeks. So is it fair to say that you've managed to balance that and focus your time and kind of calibrate yourself as best as you can?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I actually have just had the weirdest, like, health thing come up. Turns out I have a mold illness that I've been dealing with at the same time as this. So, and I'm talking to a lot of people that have, like, different weird health stuff come up. So yeah, to a certain extent, but I couldn't get out of this scot-free. You know, I couldn't be like, oh, I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, I could meditate my way out of this. Of course, something had to come and, like, smack me and go, okay, well, you have to even get more fundamentally focused on your health and well-being, you know? So yeah, I mean, I also think that there is, you know, I'm a big fan of Dr. Bonnie Henry. I think we are unbelievably blessed to have her leadership and her wisdom right now. And I think one of the biggest messages that she is constantly coming through is the importance of kindness in this time. And that is what, like, everything is boiling. Like, I was having there's this, you know, I put a post on Facebook and I was like, you know what I'm really excited about seeing with all of these demonstrations and protests is the level of kindness. Like, people are wearing masks, people are handing out water, hands, like, people are genuinely being kind with other people and how important it is. And then we got into this, like, diatribe of whether wearing masks were appropriate or not. It was like, oh, that wasn't the point. The point is, people are wearing masks because they care about other people. So when you take away all this stuff, I think fundamentally one of the biggest things that we can do is live in a place of kindness and compassion for other people. And then we'll be able to sort everything out.
I love that where that comes from. And that's so important, not only, you know, as human beings, as entrepreneurs. And I know, Olivia, you talked about Prototype Thinking Labs as far as empathy being one of the key drivers for success. And really think about it in life. Everybody's empathy quotient needs to increase. And empathy is not something you have or you don't. It's like a muscle. It can be strengthened. And I think we all need to strengthen our empathy muscle and be kinder as we go. So thank you for sharing that. One thing I want to say, by the way, is Kellyanne and Olivia, if you guys want to come back and actually co-host instead of me one day, you two are welcome anytime, because your energy level is off the charts. It's so good. I love this.
She's fascinating. I just love hearing her talk, because it's like a completely different world than I live in, but I'm, hanging on to every word, because it's like, that is like, my mind is kind of expanding as she speaks, you know.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way, because one of the things I try my best to do is bring together people that, to be honest, look like me as middle-aged white guys. The fact that you have those cultural collisions and those discussions that you then learn from people that don't look like you, talk like you, dress like you, haven't had the same experiences as you. And I truly believe my life is richer for that, and I think everybody here in the panel will agree with that. That is something we need to do more of, and I try my very best to be as authentic as possible with that. So, we only have a couple minutes left here. So, Kellyanne, I want to pick a lane here. You're doing so many different things. Tell us. Let's go with Gillespie's Fine Spirits and Boozewitch, which I love. Yeah. I heard the backstory. The fact apparently your relatives came over on a boat and were early witches in New England. Is that actually true?
Yeah. Yes, I'm a daughter of the American Revolution.
Wow. Well, like I said, we can spend an hour talking about that, because I'm sure that's kind of fun and fascinating. But let's bring it all back here. Can you tell us the last 3 months or so, once COVID hit very quickly, how has that changed or altered what you do with Gillespie Fine Spirits?
It's changed everything. It has absolutely changed everything. You know, our major clients were bars and restaurants, and we ran a cocktail bar, a very intimate cocktail bar. And also, you know, people started drinking a lot during COVID, but it was a lot of box wine and a lot of cheap and cheerful. You know, people weren't like, oh, I'm going to get my fine fancy gin, you know, because my economic situation is so secure. So basically everything changed. And so there was this absolute like humility and surrender to, okay, well, I don't know where this is going to go. So we made some massive changes really quickly. We started producing hand sanitizer, and we've been, I got a gorgeous card from an organization to thank us for contributing hand sanitizer on the downtown east side. So we were able to do a lot of really positive things and really good contributions, and also keep our community and like, you know, the surrounding area healthy by being able to change and produce and support. So that was huge. And also getting innovative and starting to bring everything online, which Olivia, I'm sure you're very familiar with working with your clients, but lots of cocktail classes, lots of corporate cocktail classes, lots of cocktail kits, and then really starting to focus on the non-alcoholic line, because you see this real thing that's happening right now is people have been dulling their, you know, their COVID with like, you know, the 5 o'clock glass of wine, the 5 o'clock cocktail. And now people are starting to become a little bit more aware that, you know, this is about a lifestyle change. This isn't just about, you know, a moment in time where I can, you know, drink all day, you know, it's like it's a real shift. And so we're really focusing on the non-alcoholic line, which is supporting people and creating some really healthy lifestyle changes. So that's really positive. But yeah, completely changed our entire operation.
Wow. And with State Beat Cannabis Beverage Company, I believe it's called, is that something that has come out of kind of the COVID reality, or is that something you've been building even beforehand?
Well, I finished a women's cannabis accelerator in January, and we were starting to do our raise, and then COVID happened, and we just stopped.
Right.
Stop, because it was tone deaf to go and try to get money from people and then not know how we were going to operate, not know how we were going to grow. So we just pressed the pause button, and all of a sudden one day, I think it was after meditating, I felt this surge of energy inside of me that just said, okay, now's the time. And the doors have been flying open. The ability to have phone calls with people that wouldn't take your phone before because we're all sitting around in our sweatpants is certainly been a lot more helpful. I'd say, you know, I think one of the key takeaways for me is, you know, those things that are keeping you up at night is this is the perfect opportunity to get up and do something about them. You know, we're living in a time where you can talk to people that it would be more difficult to connect with. And you have massive opportunity right now to make some significant changes that are going to propel you into the future as we get used to the normal.
Love that. Thank you for providing those insights there. That was really good stuff. I could talk to both of you, and Reza could too, for the next 3.5 hours, but we do want to wrap up here, and we can go over a couple minutes. That's the beauty of it. If we're 2 minutes over, we don't get in trouble by anybody. So let me put it over to Reza or even Olivia. If either of you have any questions, or if there's any questions in chat, Reza, let us know. Does anybody have any questions?
There is no question in the chat. I'm still waiting, but I like what Kellyanne said in terms of keeping you up at night, because if something is keeping you up at night, that means you're on the right track. You're trying to do something in this world that is worth doing. You're making an impact. And if it's not, that there's nothing keeping you up at night, you're either sleeping super well or you've got to get yourself more busy.
Amen.
Well put. Well put. Well, hey, let's wrap up here for today. But as we do, as I promised or threatened, depends on how you want to look at it, we do have a donation today to jack.org. So I am going to acknowledge that particular person with the soothing musicality of my voice here. And it goes something like this. Nice donation by you. Jack.org says thank you. You are awesome, Irma Curiel. Nice donation by you.
Thank you, Irma.
There we go. Thank you, Irma.
Thank you, Irma.
Thank you to our guests today and to our attendees. And I'm going to hand it over to Reza quickly to wrap up our show for today.
This was another show. I think this is what episode, what week are we on? It's been 10 or?
This is episode 9, my friend. Episode
9, almost there. 10 is on Thursday.
Almost double digits, baby. We're
double digits. Double digit. This is amazing. Thank you, our guests, Kellyanne and Olivia, to join us, and everybody else join us today. Every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. This Thursday, it's going to be a longer show. It's amazing. Definitely join. It's going to be extended for an hour, but it's going to be lunchtime. Take your lunch break with us. What keeps you up at night? We're going to have 2 entrepreneurs telling us about that.
There we go. Actually, we'll have 3 because, but that's a little bonus. But there you go. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day,
Thanks.
and we'll see you soon. All right.
Nice to meet you all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.